Awesome. Thanks so much for allowing me to be here tonight, or today. I originally was flipping through a Nastawgan article probably about 4 years ago, around one that I had published, and got a brief look at this symposium and kind of wondered, what the heck is this? Looks like a really fun time. Anyway, it's pretty special for me to be standing here in front of you for my first symposium, so thank you very much. I guess, Dad, I'm pretty nervous and excited to be here, so let's go for it and see how it goes. So I was born 19 years ago in Thunder Bay, Ontario, on the north shore of Lake Superior. Had a huge opportunity to go out and explore. Was very lucky to have so many of these outdoor opportunities lying within about 30 minutes of my doorstep. So it took a huge part in going out and exploring this. I was brought up in a very family-oriented family, I guess, and spent a lot of time going out and exploring together and learning together, and it was always within a very, very comfortable environment. I was pushed to succeed, but I never was taken too far outside of those boundaries, all within that very family-oriented, fun environment. My parents had a huge love for the outdoors, and thanks to that, got me out doing so many activities at a very, very young age. I'm not sure how old I am here climbing, but probably no more than 2. I learned by doing. I went out and did things and learned from my mistakes. I was always told as a kid, if it's raining, you go and put your raincoat on, you don't stay inside. By doing, I made mistakes and I pushed boundaries. I was that kid who went outside to go to the washroom. I took my bathing suit off to go swimming, and probably minutes around this picture of me in the garden was taken, I tried to eat a worm. To Dad's dismay, only half of it came out of my mouth. I also enjoyed fishing in the puddle that happened to grow quite large in the spring. This fishing consisted of string tied to the end of the stick, and as a little kid, inevitably tried to push the limits on my rubber boots. This often led with me coming running back to the house, screaming, crying in tears, with cold, wet feet. Although it sometimes resulted in tears, I was fortunate to learn that every action has its consequence at quite a young age. Exploring then went outside just my backyard, and I've been canoe tripping since my brother, who's 3 years younger, was in diapers. Thanks. These trips started with about 2-day base camp trips in Quetico Provincial Park, became longer 8-day trips in Wabakimi, and then got even longer and 16-day trips in Canada's Yukon. Once again, I was pushed to succeed, was always stepping outside that comfort zone into a learning zone, but was never pushed too far. These trips also offered me the opportunity to learn many hard skills such as navigation, fire lighting, canoe rescues, paddling techniques, all of which were in very fun, forgiving settings. What I learned from these trips with family, I also had the opportunity to transfer into new environments. Dad works with the School of Outdoor Recreation, Parks and Tourism at Lakehead University, and offered me many opportunities to come out and join some of his students on these trips. So they're very young, enthusiastic outdoors folks, and welcomed me so warmly to share what they knew with me, as well as welcomed me to share what I knew with them. The beginning of this trip, I remember quite clearly. All the students were sitting in this big Voyager canoe with paddles in hand, and I was standing on the beach at 9 years of age, looking at them with a big smile on my face, probably feeling as nervous as I am now, and taught them the parts of the paddle and the canoe. So it was definitely very enthusiastic to share what I knew with these young, enthusiastic people. These trips continued for many years. This one was taken a few years ago. On a longer trip, 12 days. And these trips have led to many lasting friendships and new opportunities for me to share and work with people in different environments outside of family. They also led to larger packs, bigger responsibilities, new experiences such as sleeping in shaky, wobbly hammocks, and learning, once again, in more remote settings, sharing my interests and values with people who had very similar feelings towards that. I remember this hammock actually has a bit of a funny story to it. It was very, very wobbly, wasn't all that wide, it wasn't one you could roll around in all that easily at night, and I managed to slide into my sleeping bag successfully and change into my pajamas, and then Dad came to say goodnight to me, and I was like, Dad, I'm so scared that I'm going to fall out of this hammock tonight. Anyways, Dad says, okay, comes back 2 minutes later with 2 carabiners. He picks up the sides of the hammocks, gives me a bit of a shake, and clips me in, so I wasn't going anywhere at night. My canoe experience took a big turn north in the summer of 2008 when my family joined another couple of friends on the Wind River. This was obviously quite a long way from home. It was no longer in the pool drops of the Canadian Shield, but on a long 16-day northern river trip. And this, once again, took my experience and brought it into a new setting. So yes, it was still in family, but it was a very, very remote area where obviously consequences were much larger. So that opportunity to transfer my knowledge and learn in many new ways. 2 years later, we returned as a family with the same couple and paddled the Snake River and took my knowledge that one step further. This trip very much gave me the opportunity to become a confident outdoors woman and more independent. What I also learned about myself during this trip was my connection to place and what the environment meant to me and how I became comfortable at home. I remember writing quite clearly that I was comfortable saying that home could be a down sleeping bag zipped up inside a tent in the pouring rain on the side of a river, and I was quite comfortable to call that home. So just goes to show that, being exposed to these canoeing opportunities from such a young age did make a huge difference. This trip also gave me the opportunity to learn from a dear friend, Bob Jickling, who is very much into pinhole photography. Pinhole photography is basically, he built this light tight box with a little pinhole in the front of it, and just by covering that pinhole with your finger and letting it go and exposing these pieces of light sensitive paper to light, we were able to make these images. We developed the negatives on trip, which was quite a cool experience to be out there timing and mixing chemicals to produce these images. This type of photography let me slow down and take a step back and really see the places that I was experiencing with new eyes and with a lot more detail. So it really helped me connect to the places that I was going through. Coming home with 1,000 digital pictures is pretty easy to do, but we probably came home with about 10 or 12 pictures for a 16-day trip. So I can remember every one of them very vividly, which definitely helped with that connection to place. These 2 trips in the Yukon led me to the opportunity to write for Nastawgan. And I'd just like to take the chance to really thank Tony Harding for taking me under his wing and helping me so much to get through this. Tony, when I first had the idea brought to me to consider writing an article, I was told to keep my expectations maybe a little lower. They weren't maybe too keen with such a young writer wanting to publish an article. And Tony took it and really, he took me under his wing, and through every single draft and every single struggle that I came through in the 2-year writing process was so encouraging. I was really looking forward to meeting him for the first time here at the symposium, but unfortunately I never had the chance to do so. But I just wanted to thank him for really helping me become the passionate writer that I am today. So thanks, Tony. So these trips and experiences continue to shape my life so much. This is a picture of my brother and I at the top of a 14-hour hike in the snake, and I don't know where we found the energy to muster jumping this high, but we did. So these experiences continue to shape my life so greatly. Sometimes I feel like I'm just kind of getting through school until I can get out adventuring again. As Dad likes to say, don't let school get in the way of your education or hold you back from that. So this is when I made the decision to take a gap year. So as I felt beginning this presentation, I was quite nervous and excited. It took a lot of courage to go and do something completely different. When people were asking me what I wanted to do after I graduated from high school, I said I was taking a gap year. And originally they'd be like, what the heck is a gap year? And as soon as I said that I was taking a year off from school and going out and traveling, it was like, oh, why would you do that? Why would you not go straight into university? Anyway, it turned out to be one of the best experiences and was filled with so much learning. So I guess this picture just represents the courage that it takes to go and do something new and be nervous and excited about that. I really enjoy the quote, "A ship is safe in its harbor, but that's not what ships are built for." So to go out and maybe fight that fear of the unknown and go and do something different, something new. So I spent a year or 9 months in New Zealand, primarily based on the South Island, and admittedly going into it, I had no idea what I was going to do once I got there. So I kept a very, very open mind and was so fortunate to get in touch with many, many experienced guides and instructors who gave me incredible opportunities to learn from them. So I spent time with Otago Polytechnic, learning from second-year students who are learning how to be guides and instructors in the outdoors. I worked with some school camps and did a lot of horseback riding instruction and guiding. So these opportunities gave me the chance to transfer some of that knowledge, or a lot of that knowledge that I had learned out canoeing. They don't really canoe in New Zealand. They do a lot of kayaking, but there are some similarities there. So got the chance to learn a new sport, as well as took my writing experience and did a lot of filmmaking for an outdoor company. And that takes persistence. There's the same amount of drafts for filmmaking as there are for writing. These trips in New Zealand, or these opportunities with these guides and instructors, gave me the knowledge and confidence to then go out and explore on my own. So these were some of the first trips that I did completely outside of family. Mom and Dad were actually still back home, or went back home to Canada, so left me in New Zealand and made some incredible friendships and took my knowledge and experience outside and started planning my own trips and going and doing those with friends. So obviously that responsibility increases a little bit when you haven't got mom and dad to fall back on. After my 9 months in New Zealand, I came back to Canada, didn't come back to Thunder Bay. I actually went to Jasper out in Alberta and did a summer of raft guiding. So in New Zealand, I matured a lot. I became more knowledgeable in different variety of sports and safety and learned how to guide. And then I took the opportunity to turn my passion for the outdoors into a job. What I was expecting most from this job was, going and enjoying that time on the river. And what surprised me was that although being on the river was great and guiding was a ton of fun, but it was the new people that I encountered every single day, doing 3 trips a day. Got to meet so many different people from all over the world who spoke different languages. Some people had never seen a paddle before. I got a lot of people, paddling backwards when I asked for a forward paddle, or had their paddles almost upside down. So it was a huge learning opportunity for me in that sense, but also met so many cool people. So kept that open mind and was able to take something a little unexpected and turn it into a huge passion of mine. Since guiding in Jasper, I've returned to Thunder Bay, to Lakehead University, and am now pursuing a double degree in outdoor recreation, parks, and tourism, as well as geography. So I look forward to walking into Dad's class next year. Since I was quite small, I'm sure as many of you have experienced, that I've always been asked what the heck I wanted to do when I grow up. And to be perfectly honest, I have absolutely no idea. Don't want to be a doctor, don't want to be a firefighter. But I do know that I do want to keep exploring and learning from the wilderness and the wilderness that I travel through, as well as the people that I meet doing so. So this boat I actually got for graduation, a little bit different than most kids get. But this picture represents me going out and learning from that river. I mean, if you dip a gunnel, I'm sure many of you know that you end up upside down pretty quickly. So going and having that opportunity to learn from the river and keep doing so with the people that I experience it with. So throughout my time on the river and all the experiences that I've had, I've been very privileged in the sense that, I've gotten the chance through family and through friends to go and experience these trips. It takes a lot to put a trip together and to make it out into these places. So lots of privilege there that I'm extremely thankful for. I've also been lucky to be born into the family that I was born into. Mom and Dad have been always hugely supportive, as well as the group of friends that I've grown up amongst, and as well as where I was born. Like I mentioned at the beginning, so many of the places that I wanted to go and explore and the sports that I wanted to learn, I could do so within about 30 minutes of my doorstep. So having that opportunity to go out and do those things pretty much when I wanted to was a huge part of becoming who I am today. Staying enthusiastic and not being afraid of the unknown and going and having so much fun with every opportunity that I have and to try new things. I'm sure I hadn't been rock climbing much before this picture or raft guiding. So tons of learning and going out and trying new things without much direction sometimes beforehand. Tenacity. This is one of my many drafts for my article on the Snake River. I read a lot of that and had many people help me through it, and it's definitely not easy to get your 7th draft back. Every single page looked like that, and it was accompanied by 4 pages of handwritten notes from Bob Jickling. So it took quite a lot of tenacity to be so open to that feedback on your 7th draft, and have that love of learning and rising to the high expectations of not just wanting to take that draft and pitch it out the window, but to sit down with that red pencil and to go through and not only just make the corrections, but try and learn from them. And I've seen that with my writing, looking at the difference between my Snake River or my Wind River article and this one, that there's definitely that huge learning of really absorbing what those comments had to say. Community. As the old proverb says, it takes a village to raise a child. And that's been a huge part of all the very enthusiastic and very open people that have helped raise me. There's been an incredible network of support from a vast array of people who've really taken me out and gone and helped me learn from new people and into new experiences and new settings. So although decisions and paddle strokes may help me guide my way, I never know exactly where or what lies behind the next door that I open or what lies behind the next bend in the river. So just like to thank everyone who's helped me become the young outdoor woman that I am today.